History is very important. A quote says, if you don't know your history, you are bound to repeat it. And another quote says, if you don't know your history or your culture or your origin, you don't know who you are. I'm here at the Leona Mitchell Southern Heights Heritage Center and Museum. Let's talk to them right now. Welcome to ETN Community Spotlight, where we shine the light on a local nonprofit organization. I'm Derek Silas. Join me as we talk to today's special guest.
We had been having reunions for years. The family just talked and felt like we were having so much fun, but that our younger people were not really learning anything. They just was coming and enjoying. And they just thought in some kind of way, perhaps at these reunions, we could get it across to them. It was also a time that we were concerned about losing your youth to the streets. And so we wanted them to be inspired by their history. At the same time, all of the original 15 siblings were sharing the year of the reunion and put it together, coordinated. And this particular year, it came from what we call the California connection. And that is, we were living in California. And so we gathered the information, educational, and put together our family's story.
My mother's mom, their family comes out of South Carolina, and they were Cherokees in the Low Country, and they ended up immigrating here to Oklahoma, and they ended up on 320 acres right outside of the Cheyenne-Arapaho reservation in Kingfisher. Oh, and they are Cheyenne-Arapaho heritage also. And
we began by me interviewing each of the siblings, which was a total of 15 of us. And then with Angela, she self-taught herself to use the computer and compile that history, and ended up with a written book that we shared with our family. The siblings each got a copy of our earliest memories and the history of our mom and dad and all that we could gather, and convened like a convention in Tulsa, and then started teaching our family. And my grandfather, who is my mother's and Miss Mitchell's father, his parents came from Purcell, and they were Chickasaw and Cherokee freedmen. And my father, his name is Barbara Finley. His family was Choctaw and Chickasaw, and they were from Pushmataha County, Kiamichi, and they settled into Colgate. They ended up in Gary. Our father, who always spoke to us after reunions, just said, you guys can't go back to California and that's the end of it. You must do something with this. So we continued on our quest to learn more. And then after learning more, for the next reunion, we wanted to give them a concept of what it could be like to have a museum. And so we were allowed by the family to utilize this very building, and we set it up like a small museum. We wanted to make sure that we kept our history and heritage for our family. Then we began to explore not only our family, but what did we have to do with Enid, and how did we get here, and what are these people about? Because we're related to so much of the community, so nobody would have to do that hard research ever again. It is really the only place in Enid and much of Oklahoma that will share such an in-depth concept of what you are about. So we have become the experts on the indigenous and aboriginal people that we are. We are able to bring that forth to our public.
And we are able to teach our children, we're able to teach anyone, and we can do that in a fun and educational way.
And most people are surprised to learn about our history and heritage. And actually, when we first started talking about ethnic Indians, black Indians, freedmen, colored Indians, these are all names that are found in historical record about our people. Most people said, the what? The who? And where did that come from? And Indians had slaves? And they were actually very shocked to find out about that. And we've had history majors come in and say, I feel ripped off in my education. I didn't get all of this.
Leona is an intricate part of that. There was 15 in this family. I'm number 5. She's number 10. Our father started the concept of naming something after the family when he did the research and the footwork to have streets named after her, because early in her career she became very famous and extraordinary and worldwide. And so she allowed the use of her name. But it was truly people that I ran into, chamber people, ambassadors, that said, people got to know straight up that you are representing Leona Mitchell's history. Although we expand that it's more than just Leona's history, but she's a great component of it.
Behind me, you'll find examples of outfits that we have collected from different events and different performances that Miss Mitchell was in as well. And we have a Leona Mitchell music camp.
And that allows the children to interact with professionals of Miss Mitchell's stature. And then they get to learn the concept of how the arts contribute and what the arts can do for you as an individual.
And one of the biggest experiences kids have is being able to dress up too. And so it's really fun, and they help us to put together a performance. And they'll do a final performance, and what they do is we pick a theme for a performance, and they help us construct it. And so what you see at the end when the kids are performing is something that they've helped to put together, so they buy into all of it.
So not only do we teach them about operas, they get to hear them, see her in them, and they get to learn how they came about, the history behind operas, what operas represent. They also get to give of themselves and explore their own talents. And then we try to bring that forward and tie it with them considering the arts for a future for them, because they can become very educated in the many components that's associated with arts. We offer also an introduction to the customs of our culture. And so we demonstrate that a lot through our annual powwow, where you can come and see how we are relearning, actually, our own culture, because with it have been suppressed for so many years. And even when we started trying to learn our history outside of our family, many times we're told your history got dropped in the middle of the ocean when slaves were being transported. And so when that body went in the water, your history went in it. And that you were encouraged, your people were encouraged not to read, not to have true fellowship with each other. You know, you had to suppress your loyalty to each other, those kinds of things.
A lot of people's idea is that museums are just about dead people, and that, you know, why should they come in and see all of that kind of thing. But we're a museum and a heritage center. And so that lets us keep the history of people that have gone on, as well as to continue with carrying on with our story forward, so that people can connect to it. Because one of the biggest problems for our people in school was how to make history relate to us, because that's where it's really boring to the kids. And so they go in there and go, why do I have to learn about 1812 or 1776 or how does that relate to me? And then for little black kids, they're going, that really doesn't relate to me. And so, but if they could come inside of a place like this, you will find out how all of that relates to you.
Here, you get the real deal. You get to know the real history. It's nobody else can do that other than the people who, it's their heritage. And so we're sharing that heritage and that story. And you can only get it here now in the first person. But they can expect here that they can be comfortable asking any questions that they desire to learn. It's a warm, non-confrontational type of situation so that you can really explore how people lived, what it means to them, how does it compare to yours, what is the likeness between us, so that we can come to an understanding and an acceptance of each other's culture. The organization is a 501c3 nonprofit, and so we are dependent upon donations to help support us. We do mail campaigns, we do talks with organizations and people to let them know what we are about, and it can be direct. Just write a check and send it to the museum, and you can choose what you want to support, whether it's a Leona Mitchell scholarship that helps others, or you want to pay for a child to participate in the music camp, or help us to fund a drum and dance group. It goes on and on and on. We've had organizations that brought youth to us and be all over this building, outside painting, scraping bricks, whatever it needs to make it operational, we do that. And so we can utilize all ages. During a powwow, you need volunteers to just help us remove debris from the ground, show people around. We need people inside the museum to help us keep the door open while we're doing other things. When they come into the door, we welcome them to probably one of the most unique experiences that they've ever gone through.